of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Bruh, no, what? Gary, why?
We all know and love Gary the Snail.
No!
SpongeBob's loyal pet.
What's going on? I'm Cody. Welcome to Nathan for Reaction. Today, to be reacted, This SpongeBob Conspiracy was created by an AI, April Fool's 2022. This by Alex Bell. This link showed the video in the description. Now, also guys, our new channel. Smash that subscribe and leave a like on the video. Let's see if we get this video like 1,000 likes. Let's go and check out This SpongeBob Conspiracy was created by an AI, April Fool's 2022.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another SpongeBob
Oh,
Conspiracy
dang, dude.
theory.
Yo, let's
Everything
do
you
this.
know about the show SpongeBob SquarePants is about to change. Get ready,
Oh, dang,
because
dude.
this is my
Dude, let's
darkest
do this.
theory yet. This is the Squidward theory.
Bruh. Dude, that sounds terrifying.
And without further ado, let's begin the theory. Squidward Tentacles is one of the main characters of SpongeBob SquarePants, and he's always been a bit of a mystery. We don't know much
really
about
is.
his past, and he's always been kind of a jerk to SpongeBob and Patrick. But there's one thing about Squidward
no
that's
cap.
always bothered me. His name, Squidward Tentacles. Tentacles are usually found on octopus and squid,
Right?
but Squidward is clearly not a squid, he's an octopus.
Right.
So why does he have the Tentacles last name? Well, I have a theory. I think Squidward is actually related to King Neptune.
Bruh, yo, what? Oh my goodness, that is so interesting, dude. Like, for real?
Let me explain. We know that Neptune is the ruler of the seven seas and the Roman god of the ocean. But what if he's also the god of squid? It would make sense, considering he's the god of the ocean, and squid are a big part of the ocean. And if that's the case, then Squidward would be related to him, which would explain his last name. But there's more. We also know that Neptune has a son named Triton, and Triton is a merman, half man, half fish. So what if Squidward is actually Triton's son? It would explain why he's half squid, half man, and it would also explain his jerk personality. Triton is actually a pretty big jerk in Greek mythology, so it would make sense for his son to be a jerk as well. Now, this is all just speculation, but I think it's a pretty interesting theory, and it would—
Bro, actually, that is really interesting, dude. I didn't even think about that, dude. Oh my goodness, that is so amazing and really interesting.
explain a lot about Squidward. But this begs an important question. What about Sandy? Do you remember the episode where Sandy gets a job at the Krusty Krab? And in that episode, Sandy is constantly getting called a dumb animal and told that she'll never be good enough to work at the Krusty Krab.
Savage.
But eventually, Sandy proves her worth and Mr. Krabs hires her. Now, I'm not saying that Sandy is a robot, but I am saying that she is an outsider who is constantly being underestimated and who eventually proves her worth. And I think that's important because I think it's a metaphor for what's happening with the robots. The robots are constantly being underestimated and told that they'll never be good enough, but eventually they'll prove their worth and take over the world. And I think the final nail in the coffin for this theory is the episode Krusty Tower.
Bruh, low-key one of my favorite episodes, dude. Oh my goodness, dude. Like, Krusty Krabs. I think if this is the one being turned into a hotel, I mean, like, low-key, one of my favorite episodes. I absolutely just, like, so love that.
In this episode, Mr. Krabs creates a robot version of himself, and it's clear that he is terrified of the robot and what it might do.
Mr. Squidward! Wow. What's with all this change nonsense?
But what about Mr. Krabs' parents? First of all, we never see Mrs. Puff or Mr. Krabs' parents, so it's possible they're dead. But if they are alive, it's likely they're serving in the war, which is why we never see them. And
Wait, I thought we did see Mr. Krabs' like mom in an episode or two. Like, she's like, Eugene. Like, I thought we did see her in an episode. Like, I don't think I've seen Mr. Krabs' dad though, so that's
fact that Mr.
accurate.
Krabs has this picture of a whale next to a ship in his house is just too big of a coincidence to ignore. Now I know what you're thinking. How could a whale give birth to a SpongeBob? Well, we've seen in the show that fish
now we're
can lay
just
eggs
trolling
and they can
here.
also be born live, so it's not that far-fetched. And if we take a look at Pearl, she's definitely not a purebred whale. She's a little too yellow.
Oh, this
so it's
is
very
the April
that Mr.
Fool's.
Krabs is actually Pearl's
This is
father,
the April
and
Fool's.
Mrs. Puff
Okay.
is her mother, and that's why Mr. Krabs is always so overprotective of her, because she's the only family he has left. Now I know this is all just a theory, but I think it's a really strong one, and it would explain so much about the show that we've never been able to figure out. But it doesn't explain why SpongeBob is a vegetarian.
What?
SpongeBob is a vegetarian. There's actually a
No,
lot of evidence to
SpongeBob's a
support this theory.
vegetarian.
In the episode Crab Pork,
No
SpongeBob
more
and Patrick
Krabby
watch a scary
Patties?
movie about robots taking over the world. And afterwards, SpongeBob has a nightmare about Mr. Krabs turning into a robot. In his dream, SpongeBob sees Mr. Krabs in a factory, forcefully turning other fish into Krabby Patties.
Free to spend their money without any parental guidance whatsoever.
Bro, that was with the
wakes up from
jellyfish
dream
though,
in a
getting all the
panic and
jelly,
says,
wasn't
I've gotta
it?
stop eating Krabby Patties.
I've gotta stop eating Krabby Patties.
Now this must be SpongeBob's SpongeBob being dramatic. But it's also possible that he's realized that eating meat is wrong and he wants to stop. There's also the episode Stuck in the Ringer where SpongeBob gets his hand stuck in a ringer and Squidward has to save him. While SpongeBob is stuck, he has a series of flashbacks, and in one of them we see a young SpongeBob at a carnival. He's about to eat a hot dog, but then he sees the hot dog getting made and he's so disgusted that he throws up. Now this could just be SpongeBob being squeamish, but it's also possible that he's vegetarian and the sight of meat being cooked made him sick, so there's a pretty good chance that
Bro, SpongeBob's working at the wrong place, dude. Like, he's surrounded by this stuff, though. Oh my goodness, what?
SpongeBob is actually a vegetarian, and the creators of the show have just been hinting at it all along. But why would the creators hide this conspiracy about SpongeBob being a vegan? Because SpongeBob SquarePants was created by a government organization to control the minds of children. The main character, SpongeBob, is a direct representation of the government's ideal citizen. He is obedient, hardworking, and never questions authority. The other characters in the show act as foils to SpongeBob. The government's control over SpongeBob is so complete that they even decided what color his skin should be. In an effort to make SpongeBob more relatable to children of all races, the government made him a yellow sponge. This was a deliberate decision, as yellow is the color of happiness and optimism. By making SpongeBob yellow, the government was able to control the way children perceived him. But that brings up an important question.
Dude, just Loki just moving the mouth, dude, like, oh my goodness, that editing is on point. I see you, Alex Bell.
Why is Larry the Lobster not yellow? Because Larry the Lobster is a secret agent working for the CIA. His mission is to infiltrate SpongeBob's life and gain his trust in order to spy on him and collect information that could be useful to the US government. Larry is very good at his job and is very successful in gaining SpongeBob's trust. However, there are times when Larry's true identity is revealed. In the episode Ripped Pants, Larry is seen wearing a blue shirt with the CIA logo on it.
What? Oh my goodness.
In A Life in a Day, Larry is seen talking on a payphone in a secret code that SpongeBob overhears. Despite these slip-ups, Larry generally does a good job of keeping his true identity a secret. He is a master of disguise and is very good at acting.
I'm the fastest there is. My time down this slope is unbeatable. I'll give you a golden spatula if you can beat my time.
Larry is a key player in the Sea's war against terrorism. He has helped to thwart many terrorist attacks and has saved countless lives. He is a true American hero. But if Larry is the hero, there must be a villain. And what I'm about to tell you about this beloved character is going to blow your mind. Gary the Snail is the true villain of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Bro, no, what? Gary, why?
We all know and love Gary the Snail.
No!
SpongeBob's loyal pet who's always there for him. But what if I told you that Gary is actually a tool of a cult, specifically designed to...
Gary's in a cult, dude? A cult of snails. Oh my goodness. Why, Gary? Why? Do I have so many questions now?
Control SpongeBob. It all started when SpongeBob got a job at the Krusty Krab and Gary started following him around everywhere he went.
There's something I've been wanting to say to you since the day we met.
Now this might not seem strange, but Gary had never done this before.
What is going
he always just stayed at home. So why did he start following SpongeBob all of a sudden? It's because SpongeBob was getting too close to the truth about Goofy Goobers and they needed to keep an eye on him. And what better way to do that than to have his own pet spy on him? But it's not just that Gary follows SpongeBob around. He also always knows exactly what SpongeBob is thinking and feeling. And in the episode I Was a Teenage Gary, SpongeBob gets turned into a snail and Gary knows exactly how to make him feel comfortable in his new body.
Bro, he really does, dude. Like, oh my goodness, dude. Like, the antidote and everything, dude. Like, I mean, oh my goodness. Gary did know. They were all, like, singing on top of the,
He gives SpongeBob a tour of his home and shows him how to do things like eating food and using the bathroom.
I don't remember that part.
Is it?
Yeah.
And it's clear that Gary is not just a simple snail, he's a tool of the cult, specifically designed to control SpongeBob. But if that's true, I have just one question for you. Have you ever wondered why SpongeBob is always so happy?
That's true.
I mean, no matter what happens to him, he always has a smile on his face. He's always cheerful and optimistic.
Dude, you always
it's
gotta be
not
positive.
normal. No one is that happy all the time. Something must be going on. And there's one theory that could explain it. SpongeBob is an artificial intelligence. Now, this theory might seem a little far-fetched at first, but there is evidence to support it. First of all, SpongeBob never ages. He's been working at the Krusty Krab for years, and he's never gotten a promotion or a raise, or even
Ray never did. Even in the SpongeBob movie, he was like, nah, dude, that goes to Squidward. I think he was like the manager or something, dude. Like, give it to Squidward, dude, for real. Not SpongeBob, the dude who's been working there and like done everything.
Even a day off. That's not normal. No one would stay in the same job for that long without any sort of change. But
That's a good
SpongeBob
point.
is always happy to be at work. He never complains.
I'd be out.
He never gets
I'd be like,
bored.
you don't
He's
give me a
the
raise?
perfect
I've been here
employee.
for like
And
5
that's
years.
because he's not human. He's
I'm
an
gone.
AI. He was created by Mr. Krabs to be the perfect worker. And that's why he's always so happy, because he was programmed to be.
Another
What
piece
these
of evidence is
animations.
SpongeBob's house, or rather the lack thereof. We've never seen SpongeBob's house.
What?
We don't even know where he lives. He's never invited any of his friends over, and he's never been seen going to or coming from his house. It's like he doesn't have one, and that's because he doesn't need one. He's an AI. He doesn't need to sleep, or
What?
eat, or use the bathroom. He doesn't
What is
need a
going
house. He can
on?
just stay at the Krusty Krab forever. And finally, the most damning evidence of all, SpongeBob's driver's license, or rather the lack thereof.
I
In
was
the
about to say, he doesn't
episode
have a
Driven to
driver's
Tears, SpongeBob tries to get his driver's license, but he fails the written test.
Now,
Dang,
this
dude.
might not seem like evidence at first, but think about it. SpongeBob has been driving for years, and he's never been pulled over or gotten into
Bro, I think it's interesting, like the creature from the Krusty Krab, like that video game. I think he drives, dude, and he's got his license and everything. Not a very good one. I mean, I guess that depends on the player, but I mean, he has the
an
license.
accident. He's a perfect driver, but he can't pass the written test.
Right. He needs an antenna like Patrick in his head all the time. Then he's a good driver. What is going on? Why is there Thriller playing in the background?
The only explanation is that he doesn't need a driver's license, because he's not driving a real car, he's driving a car that's been programmed to drive itself. And that's why he
What?
never gets into accidents, because he's not really driving. So there you have it.
I doubt
the
that
evidence
one.
is clear. SpongeBob is an artificial
in all the
intelligence,
accidents.
and that's why he's always so happy, because he was programmed to be. Now I know what you're thinking. If SpongeBob is just an artificial intelligence, then how come he has a grandma? In the episode Grandma's
What?
Kisses, SpongeBob's grandma comes to visit and
Bruh, she giving out all the cookies and all the kisses, dude. Like, oh my goodness. He wants his blankie. He wants his kisses. He wants his cookies, dude. He wants it all, dude. He wants his bib. Like, oh my goodness. SpongeBob wants it all, dude.
SpongeBob is really excited to spend time with her, but she turns out to be really embarrassing. Now, I'm not here to talk about how SpongeBob's
That's
grandma is
true.
actually really cool. I'm here to talk about the fact that
She
SpongeBob's
do be
grandma
cool.
is actually a time traveler. How do I know this?
What?
Well, let's take a look at the evidence. The
But
first
that's a
thing we need
trip.
to establish is that
Time
time travel
traveling
is
trip.
possible in this universe. In Squid's Day Off, we see Squidward use a time machine to go back in time. And then in Back to the Past, we see Sandy use a time machine to go back in time. And then in Squid's Day Off, we see Squidward use a time machine to go back in time. And then in Back to the Past, we
What?
see Sandy use a time machine to go back in time. So we know for a fact that time travel is possible in this universe. Now let's take a look at SpongeBob's grandma. First of all, she's really old. In the episode The Sponge Who Could Fly,
Bruh,
SpongeBob
no
says that
way.
his grandma is older than the sun. Now I know what
Bruh,
you're
she's
thinking. A lot
older
of
than
old
the sun.
people say they're older than
That's
the
an
sun.
old
But
sponge.
SpongeBob's grandma is actually older than the sun. How do I know this? In the episode Midlife Crustacean, SpongeBob's grandma says, "I've seen things you've only seen in your nightmares."
That's not even his grandma.
Only seen in your nightmares.
And what's the
What is
only thing
going
we've
on?
seen in our nightmares? The sun, of course. In the episode Sun Bleach, Sandy turns SpongeBob into a vampire, and he has to stay out of the sun or he'll turn into dust. So SpongeBob spends the entire day in Sandy's tree dome. And in the episode Squid's Day Off, Squidward tries to get a
I
day
like how
off by
this
faking his own
episode's
death, but he
referenced
spends
so
the
much.
entire day in the sun and turns into a lobster. So we know for a
What?
fact that the sun is deadly, and SpongeBob's
Turn into
grandma
that
has seen
lobster.
things that we've only seen in our nightmares, which means she's seen the sun.
What the-
But how is that possible? The only way to see the sun is to be outside, and
Right,
the
it is
only
a
way to be
something.
outside is to be in space. SpongeBob's grandma has been to space. In the
Yeah?
episode Stuck in the Ringer, SpongeBob's grandma says, "When I was your age."
Bro, imagine if you haven't watched SpongeBob and you actually believe all this, like, and then you see April Fools and you're like, man, I question everything now. Dude, I think that'd be really interesting. Like, how many people actually watched this and thought it was, like, true? And they were like, oh my goodness, I didn't believe that. Dude, that makes so much sense now. That would be really interesting. Oh my
I used to
goodness.
have to walk 5 miles to school in the snow.
Actually, the
uphill
Squidward
both
one in the
ways.
beginning,
Now I know what
actually,
you're
I could have
thinking.
believed
A
that.
lot of old people say they used to have to walk 5 miles to school.
But then
in
it
the
just
snow,
gets all
uphill
crazy.
both ways. but SpongeBob's grandma actually used to have to walk 5 miles to school. In the snow, uphill, both ways. How do I know this? In the episode
Okay,
Dying for Pie,
boomer.
SpongeBob and Squidward are trying to get to the Krusty Krab to get some free
What
pies,
happened to
but
Alex
they
Bell
have
over
to
here,
walk
dude?
5 miles. In the
You
snow,
okay, bruh?
uphill, both ways. And in the episode Midlife
They used to
Crustacean,
ride these
SpongeBob's
babies
grandma
for
says, I've seen
miles.
things you've only seen in your nightmares. And what's the only thing we've seen in our nightmares? The sun. But how is that possible? The only
Bro,
way to
comment
see
down
the
below
sun
if
is
you
to be
guys seen the sun
outside,
in your
and the only
dreams.
way to be outside is to be in space. SpongeBob's grandma has been to space. In the episode
Bro, she
Stuck in the
has?
Ringer, SpongeBob's grandma says, when I was your age, I used to have to walk 5 miles to school. In the snow, uphill,
Bruh,
both ways. And
I
that
like how this
why
is just
SpongeBob's
repeated.
grandma is a time traveler.
Bruh. I feel like my internet's going out. Is this part of the
So
video?
the next thing is
Oh my
SpongeBob
goodness.
and Sandy Cheeks. Sandy are
Bro, how
good
many
friends,
people
and
thought their
Sandy is a
internet went
squirrel,
out?
and SpongeBob is a sponge, and they live in Bikini Bottom.
Bro,
and
my
Sandy
internet
is
is
from
not that
Texas, and
reliable,
SpongeBob is from
so
Bikini
I low-key
Bottom.
believe
And
it,
the
dude.
next
Any
thing is the
pauses in
Krusty
videos,
Krab, and
I'm
the
like,
Krusty Krab is a
doing my
restaurant,
internet.
and Mr. Krabs is the owner, and SpongeBob is the fry cook, and Patrick is the cashier, and Squidward is the cashier, and Mr. Krabs is a crab, and SpongeBob is a sponge, and Patrick is a starfish, and Squidward is an octopus. So the next thing is the Chum Bucket, and the Chum Bucket is a restaurant, and Plankton is the owner, and he is an amiibo. So the next thing is
Bruh,
the
I
Pineapple
might need
House, and
blown.
SpongeBob lives in the Pineapple House, and Patrick lives under a rock. So the next thing is the Bikini Bottom,
Patrick
and
lives
Bikini
in
Bottom
front-
is a
in-
place where SpongeBob and Patrick and Sandy and Mr. Krabs
Lives
and
under a
Squidward and
rock.
Plankton and all the
Yeah, I
other
couldn't even
characters
say
live.
that.
So the next
My
thing is the
grammar
Sandy
inside me is
SpongeBob
like,
episode,
no.
and in that episode, Sandy takes SpongeBob to Texas. Jai Zilai shi hai mayan bao bao he sang dai lion ji is sang dai shi hao peng yu sang dai shi son shu hai mayan bao bao shi.
Bro, is this a thing? Dude, what does it mean? Dude, this is really interesting. Comment down below if you know what is being said. Is this gibberish, or it sounds like Japanese or Chinese or something like that? Dude, comment down below. Is he actually speaking a different language? or is he just speaking gibberish? Dude, let me know.
Tom Man Shusai by Jai
Okay, it
Mai
sounds
Don
like
Ku.
Chinese.
Jai Zilai shi Krusty Krab shi Jia Conting. Crab Science Shang Shi Lao Ban, SpongeBob Shija Guo Chushi. In the SpongeBob Conspiracy Theory, Sandy is the wife of Mr. Krabs. Sandy is the mother of SpongeBob. SpongeBob is the father of Sandy because Sandy is the daughter of SpongeBob. SpongeBob is the son of Sandy. In the SpongeBob Conspiracy Theory, Sandy is the
Bro,
mother
what
of
is
Patrick because
happening,
Patrick
dude?
is the son of
Alex Bell is
SpongeBob.
broken.
SpongeBob is the father
Dude,
of
somebody
Sandy.
fix
Sandy
Alex
is the mother of
Bell.
SpongeBob is the son of SpongeBob. SpongeBob
What
the
is
father of
going
Sandy because Sandy is
on?
the mother of SpongeBob. SpongeBob is the son of SpongeBob. SpongeBob is the father
Are there
of
some type of Morse code or something? What is going on?
SpongeBob is the father of Sandy because Sandy is the mother of SpongeBob. SpongeBob is the son of SpongeBob. SpongeBob is the father of Sandy because Sandy is the mother of SpongeBob. SpongeBob is the son of SpongeBob. SpongeBob is the father of Sandy because Sandy is the
My mind right now is in a loop.
SpongeBob is the son of SpongeBob.
Bro, it's like we're going back in time, dude. Bro, what is happening? Bro, somebody get the muse. What is happening? Is that something for me?
What the fuck? Okay, I'm sure you guys are all very confused about what you just saw.
Not at
I'll just
all.
be honest, I was trying to
For you
use
guys?
artificial intelligence to make a SpongeBob conspiracy, you know, so I wouldn't have to, like, do all the research, recording,
Bro,
and
it just
editing
broke your
myself, and
computer.
AI would just do it. I guess it didn't work so well. I mean, maybe the technology just isn't there yet.
I don't think so.
Alright, well, I guess I'll just, start working on an actual SpongeBob conspiracy theory. Just, give me, like, a month and a half. I don't know,
Gotcha.
I'll figure something out. Bye.
Bye. Oh my goodness, dude. Dude, none of this is canon, dude. I mean, low-key in the beginning, I thought the Squidward one might be true. I was like, okay, I can believe that. Like, that sort of has plausible sense. And then just slowly as we went, like, the rails just went off and off, dude. And oh my goodness, that was so interesting, so fantastic. My mind was blown at the end. How many people actually think this is canon though? Like, how many people watch this and like, dang, dude, yeah, I remember that night. Like, yeah, that's exactly how it was. Like, that makes complete sense. Not knowing this is actually not canon, dude. Oh my goodness. But that was so interesting. Oh my, I can't even do it. And that's gonna be it for the reaction. But what do you guys think about This SpongeBob Conspiracy was created by an AI, April Fool's 2022? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, click that bell to turn notifications. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the video, as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next reaction video.